It was 1963 in Columbus, Ohio, and a gallon of gas was just 30 cents. Radio stations were blasting hits like Surfin' USA and Ring of Fire. Up in Canton, the Pro Football Hall of Fame had just been founded. And very sadly, John F. Kennedy was assassinated. What a year in our history. 63 was also the year that Jack Crow, George Baldock, and Dick Greiner formed Pipe Valves Incorporated in Columbus, Ohio, along with several silent partners. Jack and Dick had been Fiji fraternity brothers at The Ohio State University, and later met George while working at a PVF distributor based in West Virginia. It was there that they all gained their footing in the industrial PVF industry. Jack Crow owned 1/3 of the business. Dick and George each owned 1/6. Dick and Jack were in sales while George managed the office. Their silent partners included Wayne Ashby, a CPA, Jack Chester, their attorney, and Jack Crow's brother-in-law, Arthur Magnuson, a local optometrist. Jack Crow was a natural-born salesman. Jack could sell ice cream to Eskimos, said his nephew, Dan Magnuson. Let's face it, Jack talked these guys into taking the leap into entrepreneurship, starting their own company. He quickly got things rolling by reaching out to a friend and owner of Buckeye Pipeline for a 5-truckload pipe order, and Pipe Valves was off and running. In the early years, Crow wasn't just a salesman. He also did collection calls. He'd say, "I've carried you longer than your mother. It's time to deliver." Jack continued to build his team at Pipe Valves, and the company became well known throughout Ohio industry as a reputable source for piping materials with a knowledgeable staff. And that's just the beginning of the pipe valve story.
Crow also needed a warehouse manager, and in his mind there was only one man for the job, Porter Johnson. Jack showed up at Porter's house one night with beer and a proposition. Jack wasn't going to take no for an answer. A few beers in, and Jack began discussing his plan for pipe valves. Porter wasn't showing any interest at first, but Jack kept handing him another beer and kept talking, until eventually Porter became Pipe Valve's first warehouse manager. Porter's talents didn't stop there. He was also a barber, and on Saturdays, Jack would come out to the warehouse, take his shirt off, sit down in a chair, and Porter would start cutting his hair while they both drank beer and talked about the week. Porter worked at Pipe Valves for the next 26 years, retiring in 1989. Stories are still told about him to this day. Pipe Valves doors opened on April 1st, 1963 at 262 Hanover Street, just south of where the Columbus Clippers Huntington Park resides today. The offices and the warehouse were separated by another tenant, a pet food business. You had to leave the offices and walk outside to get to the warehouse. The pipe yard was across the road. Through one of the partners' connections, the second floor ended up being used to store U.S. Senator Saxby's campaign signs. Almost immediately, Jack needed a truck driver. Once again, he called on another connection he had, Ott Shull, also known as Smokes. Smokes started May 1st, 1963. As you can see, he retired after 27 years of service.